So if you have any questions as we're going through today for our presenter or for the NCCA team, please feel free to use the chat, which is located on the bottom of your screen. You will be muted and your video will be off for the duration of the presentation, but we are going to go ahead and turn it over to Cindy, who is our Director of the National Childcare Association, to do our introductions of our speaker.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's been a while, I feel like, since I've been before you. I'm always happy to have you join us. And I know you're very busy, essential people out there, and very passionate and purposeful, and want to do anything and everything you can to improve your programs. So I hope you find the NCCA webinars helpful in that journey. I would like to introduce to you today, so that I give this gentleman plenty of time to talk with you, Justin Bertelsen. And Justin is the CEO of Bertelsen Education. Did I get that right, Justin?
Yeah, you did. It's a Danish name. It's very, very difficult to say sometimes.
Well, I'm glad I did it justice. I have a very German last name, Lenhoff, and sometimes people don't pronounce that right either, but I'm okay with it. I understand. Actually, Jill, Justin's wife, together, they founded Bertelsen Education, and they did this after becoming parents, and they were struggling to help their oldest child, Ross, sleep well. And I know that's something that, you know, every parent deals with. And in their journey to find some educational material, they also recognized that there was a need for high quality parenting content. So along the way, they discovered the ways that content could also benefit childcare. And it's you know, to me, it's like a perfect marriage, because we all know that we actually give out a lot of parenting information. It's actually an important part of our accreditation, our NEGBA accreditation. We have to have materials to help support parent education. So without further ado, I would really like for Justin to tell you more about the Bertelsen Education Group. And in doing so, he's going to talk with you about a subject that we all feel passionate about, and that's developing professionals through professional development. Thank you, Justin. We appreciate you being with us today.
Thanks, everybody. Cindy, thanks. Can everybody see my chat thing? Because I have my chat open because I want to hear and I want to see what you guys are saying, because I want this to be very interactive. Melissa, we can see it. You can see it? Okay. So I'm going to close that for now. But through this meeting, I want everybody to really feel comfortable sharing and interacting. This is an important topic, and I'm excited to get going. So first, I'll tell you a little bit about me. Cindy did a great job kind of giving the overview. I'm Justin Bertelsen, founder and CEO of Bertelsen Education. We've been in business for about 2 years. As Cindy mentioned, we started after our first son, Ross, was born. And a key component of what we offer is parenting resources. So we started the business in Idaho, then moved to Texas. I see a lot of people from Texas here. And now we're currently based in Kansas City, Missouri, where I grew up. We're really passionate about 3 things at Bertelsen Education. We're passionate about collaboration, innovation, and family focus. Through those things, we feel that we can make a really big impact on the early childhood education workforce. And in this presentation, I'm going to talk about how we can change our self-perception as an industry to encourage more professionals moving forward. This is an image of a small building. This is a Head Start building that I attended growing up. So as I mentioned, I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri, but I was raised for my younger years in the state of Iowa. My family came over to the United States in the 1870s, and came over to New York and eventually made it to the Midwest to homestead as farmers. And since then, it's just we've been farmers, and that's kind of our life. So when I was young, my mom got divorced from my dad. So I was 3 years old when that happened. And we moved to Denison, Iowa. If anybody's from Iowa or familiar, it's in Harrison County on the western side. And I remember it was my mother and my 3 brothers and my dog. Then the dog's name was Hershey, and she was a chocolate lab. And we lived at the top of the hill, and at the bottom of the hill was this school and this church. And every day, my mom would take me down with my brothers to Head Start and Early Head Start. And in this brown building you see here is where I would attend. And really, I want to kind of set the tone of this presentation and say thank you for what you do as early childhood educators, because without that Head Start program or the early childhood program, my family wouldn't have been able to function effectively. My mom wouldn't have been able to go to work or wouldn't have been able to get the help that we needed as a low-income single-parent household. And from there, I've sort of dedicated this part of my life to giving back and supporting early childhood educators and early childhood professionals. So this is what I think of when I think of professionals. I think of somebody in like a suit or somebody in these people are what I think of as professionals, like doctors or lawyers or individuals who come to a meeting or a conference that are really like professionals, have really advanced degrees, super smart, etc. But as we look here at this definition, a professional is someone who does a job that requires special training, education, or skill. So I'll ask everybody, does your job require training, education, and skill? Just go ahead and raise your hand and say yes or no, or whatever you think. I see a lot of raised hands very quickly. In my opinion, early childhood professionals are professionals, and they aren't just babysitters. They aren't just, in England, they call them childminders. And what we as an industry and those outside of the industry must recognize is that professionalism should go hand in hand with early childhood educators. We should be viewed as professionals. So here's a question for you, and please type your responses in the chat. Do members of your staff feel like they are professionals? I'll give everybody a minute to think about it. A lot of good answers here. I wish I could hear your voices. I think that's something that I would really love to hear and to see your real perspectives and I think it's easier to do that. But for those who said no, tell me why and tell me a little bit more about that. So I'll give you some time to work on this and kind of think through this as we kind of explore this together. Do members of your staff feel like they're professionals? Janet, that's one of your goals as a director. How long have you been a director, Janet? And Kendra, when you say they, do you mean the parents or society or the children? Who is they? Families. I see. Interesting. Okay. This has been really helpful. So, okay, there are lots of things are coming in. I can't wait to read all these. I think it comes down to how we present ourselves in our program. You need to make them feel like they're professionals by encouraging them and continue to train them and build them up. Yeah, Lucille, we're going to get to that. Absolutely. 16 years, Janet. Excellent. Cool. I see, Linda, your point of some staff have more training than others and titles reflect that difference. Interesting how maybe titles contribute to feeling of professional or not professional. When parents thought so Josephine said, when parents thought we're babysitting, we told them that we all get training as professional teachers. Interesting. Thank you so much for your participation. I really love this because you are the experts as early childhood educators. You are in the classrooms, you are in the field, so you see these things on a daily basis. So I'm going to touch on a couple of things. First, Lucille Cordero. Where are you from, Lucille? San Diego. Excellent. California. I've never been to California, but it's a beautiful place. I was kind of a crazy story real quick. I was in the airport at Los Angeles International Airport, LAX, and I got a personal pan pizza and it was $20. I almost had a heart attack from the pizza, but also from the price. Lucille, your point of, let me scroll up to your point. So yes, how we present ourselves and make our program feel like professionals. As directors, you have a really important role and a lot of power to make them feel like professionals. We're going to talk about some ways to do that here moving forward. And I want to go to Linda's point about titles. I think we should be mindful of titles and like, oh, this is a lead teacher versus this is a whatever teacher. That's something that I haven't considered, but I want to come back to that a little bit later. Okay. Okay, there's so many great things. I want to pick and choose. So Ponice, I think your point of being people treating us as like babysitters is something that we have seen outside of the industry, because people in the industry, we know that we're doing more than babysitting. But what we need to do is have our staff like kind of do some like inside out. We are professionals. Once we can help them feel like professionals, then they can continue to spread the message that we're not just babysitters. So let's go on and discuss this a little bit more. Let me see. I think let's just move on. We discussed most of it just in that last thing. So being recognized as a professional is super important, everybody. It can help people feel valued in their profession and valued in their passions. People say, well, why did you get into early childhood education? And I've heard that question asked a bunch of times, and the answer is never, well, I'm in it for the money. But being recognized as a professional, someone who should be making more money, someone who has these skills and they are contributing in a really tangible way, not just to watching and keeping kids alive, but also building the infrastructure of the future of America. Like, that's a big deal. What we're doing, guys, is a big, huge deal. Yeah, Ponice, you're absolutely right. Where are you from, Ponice? Louisiana, excellent. Yeah, it's teaching, it's reteaching, it's really nurturing the future. I think that's really wonderful. So here is this quote. It says, I found this from Forbes. It says, data showed a solid correlation between employees feeling valued and their overall feelings about their job situation. So to me, that means that if employees feel valued, they will feel better about their job. And when they feel better about their job, they stay. So when we can help our employees feel that they are not just a number, or they're not just someone who, a warm body, I heard somebody say recently, or somebody that can help us maintain ratio for 20 minutes while so-and-so gets a break, but help them to feel that they are valued in the center and help them to be able to present that same value that they have inherently outside of the center as well. Any comments or questions so far? Cool. Okay, so here is how we help our staff feel like they're professionals. I'm going to give you a couple ways, and this one is perhaps this is one of them. So we need to help them see the big picture, help them see that their role is more than just helping kids learn how to color or helping kids learn how to make a craft. Their role as early childhood professionals is to help build the next generation of America, help create a prosperous, but also an equitable and harmonious society. You have that incredible role and responsibility to do that. But what we as an industry must do is say, hey, we are professionals. We need to be treated as professionals in the industry. We need wages that contribute to a professional life, somewhere where we can be treated and some way where professionalism can be recognized across legislatures, across states, across individual businesses, across communities. So helping our early childhood professionals see the big picture is really key. Another component is to give your early childhood professionals a clear pathway. So if they come on as an early childhood professional, well, let me ask a question first. How many, if you could put in the chat, what kind of center you're in? Are you in a family home center? Are you in a chain? Are you in a one person, or like you and 3 other people run a center out of your home? What does that look like? I'm curious. And then we can talk about giving them a clear pathway. So I'll give you a couple minutes to chit chat about that in the chat. Thanks, Brian. So Kendra, you're in a faith-based school, 324, great. Great, we'll wait a couple more seconds and then let everybody feel heard. Oh, interesting, Linda. Oh, Angela, you're in an elementary school. What state are you from, Angela? Oh, I see, okay. Great. Thanks, everybody, for your answers. So we see a lot of licensed daycares and preschools, really a whole bunch of different things. So some faith-based stuff. So a whole bunch. So what we can see is if we're a director or an administrator, it's important for us to see what is our goal for our employees? What is our goal for the professionals that we work with? Is our goal to help them to take over our job someday? Is our goal to help them to build our center? Is our goal to help them to develop a greater love for early childhood education? So in this slide, I want to talk about giving them a clear pathway to achieve that goal. And this part goes into another part that I'm going to speak on, which is mentorship, but giving them a clear pathway with their professional development. So, let's say I want to I work for, let's say I work for Hannah in Florida and I want to get a degree. Well, how do I do that? I think a lot of times there are professionals don't know where to go or what they can actually do in early childhood education to, one, increase wages, and two, to magnify their impact. They feel like, oh, I am just stuck in the center and I don't know, like I'm stuck in ratio and I don't know what I can do to develop as a professional. Because as well, let me back up. I think every time I've been in an early childhood or early childcare facility as an adult, I have wanted to call the teachers firefighters, because that seems to be what they're doing. It seems to be that they're putting out fires all the time, which is admirable. And many people couldn't do what you do. I mean, bottom line, I think the stress of your job and the importance of your job is hard to find outside of early childhood. But what I'm saying is that when professionals feel like they're stuck or they don't have any mobility, they feel like they're not valued because they can't be invested in. They can't have, or they don't have a person who really wants to see them grow. Let me comment on this, Lucille, and then I will take the raised hand. So Lucille said, my first goal is to keep them healthy and safe mentally too, and feel empowered to grow. Maybe one day they will want to open a preschool themselves. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Lucille. And I think that's part of our responsibility to create a professional culture, is keeping them healthy and safe. We need to be, yeah, I think that's step one. People aren't going to feel like they're valued or empowered if they don't feel safe coming to school. If the director is going to yell at them every time they come in, or yeah, absolutely, Lucille. And the individual who raised your hand, do you have a comment? Okay. Mariah?
Nope, that was an accident. Sorry.
Okay. Can you give them access to talk? I mean, I don't know how to get to them. Mariah, do you know how?
Yeah, let me see. Okay, ask to unmute. Yeah, they just have to unmute themselves.
Cool. If you could unmute yourself, you have the floor.
Hello?
Yeah. Oh, that's just you.
That's me. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
If you have a comment, you can make it, but I'm going to keep moving on. So another thing I want to touch on with Lucille is to help them see where, like, the tangible goal professionally for them. Maybe they want to transition into a kindergarten teacher, or maybe they want to be a principal, or maybe they want to have a whatever specific role. Helping them and giving them a clear pathway to do that is important. Mentorship is key. How many of you are directors? Raise your hand. Cool, lots of directors here. Awesome. Good night, Tiffany.
No.
It's nap time at my house. So, so directors have a really key role in mentorship. So if you just take a minute and think of someone who was a great mentor for you, and think about it for a second, and then write down one word of how you would describe that person. Okay, so think about, so I'll repeat it. Name one person who was a director. You don't have to type it in the chat, but think of one person who was a mentor for you, and then one word to describe them, and then we can chat about those descriptions. Barbara says inspiring, supportive. Great responses, everybody. I'll give everybody a couple more seconds to put in their responses, and then we can chit chat and pick some of these up and talk about them. Great, Melissa. That's super dedicated and supportive. I see supportive and dedicated a lot. We as professionals know when somebody is all in and when they're not. If somebody is dedicated to their job, you feel it. I think we have like a sixth sense as people, where it's like, oh, I know that you're not really in it. Like if you've ever purchased a used car from a used car lot, it's kind of like, I know this guy's shit. You know what I mean, everybody? It's like, I don't know what's wrong with this car, but this guy is really, really shady, and I don't want to buy this car from him. And I think what we have in mentorship is our professionals that we work with know when we're being sincere in our mentorship. They know when we're actually dedicated. They feel it. They feel the buy-in. Oh, Cindy Lenoff has typed in the chat. One of my mentors was committed to helping me grow in the knowledge I needed to be a competent childcare professional and leader in the industry. I met her in my first job in childcare in 1980. She saw in me what I did not see in myself. That is a great comment, Cindy. And that's what we must do as leaders in early childhood education, see in others what they don't yet see in themselves, and be able to help them want to get there, because we can't drag them. We can't say, oh, you're going to be the next director of the center. We can say, hey, I think you have what it takes to be the director of this center, or to get whatever credential, whether it's a CDA or the NECBA director credential, whatever it is, that us as leaders can empower them and mentor them and work with them to see that career longevity and that career path, going back to the impact of early childhood education. Angela, yours was a former teacher. That's great. And another thing is, mentorship doesn't necessarily have to be director to teacher. It could be teacher to teacher, like a more experienced teacher, a lead teacher to an assistant teacher. It could be, but mentorship is different than friendship here. And I will say what my word would be, I think, so Barbara says inspiring, Storm says supportive, Jeneth says flexible, bold, innovative, dedicated, like they have authority, firm, inspiring. I think mine would also be, I don't know how to phrase this in one word, but it'd be like believing, or like they believed that I could do it. And that could be anybody. It's like somebody who believed in me and was committed to my success. And that is what we must be as a mentor. But we can't just say, oh, I'm a mentor. We should have a plan. Yeah, maybe uplifting. Yeah, I think faith in your ability. Barbara, I think you're right. But we should be intentional about our mentorship moving forward. Okay, another thing is to source quality professionals. And I'm definitely biased as the founder of Bertelsen Education. We offer professional development. But who here has been to a professional development learning event? So whether it's a webinar or whether it's a self-paced class or a seminar, whatever, that was totally boring. Raise your hand if you've been to a super boring professional development. That is so sad, because as early childhood educator, yeah, Barbara, you don't have enough hands. Yeah, what state are you coming from, Barbara? Florida. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it is one of the biggest tragedies in early childhood education that overall the quality of professional development is really subpar, and it very seldom increases the quality of care that the providers can give to the children. The whole goal of professional development is increased quality of care. But what I have seen is at Bertelsen Education is oftentimes hey, I just need to check this box, or hey, I have some time during nap time. I'm going to go to this webinar and see if I can knock out some hours before the state comes and kicks down my door next week. So what we do at Bertelsen Education is create professional development that is practical and engaging. But we, as leaders, it's important to source quality professional development. That way your staff can feel that you're actually investing in them. It's not just like, oh, here, we need to do this real quick. Let's just do it, or let's just put a Band-Aid on it and we can move forward. Claudia, you said you got confused with mentoring and coaching. Can you explain more of that question? So mentoring is sort of like coaching, but the difference is it doesn't necessarily have to be a coach. It could be like a colleague or someone like here's like you and then your director, but it could be like an assistant teacher or someone who's on like the same level, but it's different than friendship. It's like someone helping you to become better. Does that make sense? Okay, so yeah. So mentoring is like sort of like coaching, but it's really investing in the whole person, where coaching is usually specified to like one aspect. So for example, I worked with the Hispanic community for 2 years when I was just out of high school. And there I had a language coach where someone would coach me and work with me on language. So when I did that, it was coaching, but a mentor was someone who helped me on a wide variety of things professionally. Does that make sense? Raise your hand if that makes sense, everybody. Okay, cool. I don't know what the capabilities here, but if you can clap, that would be cool. Just keep clapping. Anyway, raising hands is good. Okay, so educators who have access to high quality professional development are less likely to leave the profession. So I'll read that again. This is from Teaching Strategies, a major player in the industry. Educators who have access to high quality professional development are less likely to leave the profession, is one of the key findings from a survey that sampled over 2,300 early childhood educators in the United States. So who here is worried or has dealt with a staff crunch, or has dealt with retention issues, or has dealt with hiring issues? Yeah, raise your hand if you've dealt with issues with getting people into classrooms. Great, yeah, everybody. It's across the country. In Kansas City, everybody, 40% of the early childhood centers shut down during the pandemic. 40%. Some of those reopened, but still 40% shut down. That's humongous. Can you imagine if 40% of grocery stores shut down or gas stations shut down? I mean, our whole life would be changed. So this statistic from Teaching Strategies demonstrates that if people have professional development that's good, then they'll stay. Linda, what a heart-wrenching situation if you had so much staff turnover that you almost had to close your doors. And in early childhood education, sometimes we feel like we're on an island. Like as a director or administrator, we feel, oh, well, I don't know who to hire. I don't know what to do. And you feel sort of isolated. But just know, my dear friends, that we see you at Bertelsen Education. We see that the things that you're struggling with in terms of retention, in terms of hiring. And that's one of the reasons why we've created some onboarding bundles to get people in ratio faster. I'll talk about that later, but I'm not necessarily here to sell. I'm here to engage with you, early childhood educators, and help you to see that professionalism in early childhood education is really critical. So Lucille says, corporate centers do not value you as a person. It is more about money. They worry about what you bring in, more than relationships. I left after 14 years because I was told to stop working with my heart, and that did not sit well with me. So yeah, Lucille, you seem to have had a negative experience with corporate childcare facilities. And I'm sorry to hear that. I think that's a mistake to not work with your heart. At Bertelsen Education, we are committed to making an impact through our work. Everybody on our team works remote, and we have people across the country. But we work with our heart because we care about improving, the bigger picture that we talked about earlier, improving the quality of care, the future of America. So keep in mind that I will always tell you to work with your heart. Lucille, if they didn't tell you, then I think that's on them. So, but anyway, the point of this slide is to say that if we have quality professional development, we will lead to people staying in their job longer. Okay, so what is quality professional development? We said it a bunch of times, but everybody take some time and respond in the chat. What is quality professional development? It could be an aspect that you really like about professional development, like, oh, it was really interactive, or the presenter was funny, or whatever. So, but take some time to think of what is quality professional development, and I'll give everybody some time.
Ooh, Justin, look at all these answers. Woohoo.
Yeah, I've woohoo for those who are answering. Like, this is great. I'm not talking because I'm just reading it, just like really loving your perspectives, everybody. Thank you for responding. I'll go and I'll read some of these. These are super. I think this is good stuff. So first, engaging and useful. I think that's a big one. Engaging and useful. Well, we've seen, as I mentioned, we've seen PD that's super boring, and everybody has seen professional development that is super boring. But I would say that many of us have seen professional development that is really, really high level, that new teachers, it would just go way over their heads. And they would say, I don't know what this is. And they'd feel really kind of intimidated by the level of, maybe it's like neuroscience or the Montessori method versus the Piaget method. It's like stuff that's like at times very, very overwhelming for individuals who are just getting into professional development in early childhood education. So I'm going to go through these. And Tina says, opportunity to engage with other professionals and speak of the things that don't go well and why. Opportunity to engage, okay. Jenna says PD that can be taken back immediately. Yeah, absolutely. Desiree says strategies that are transferable. Lucille says, blessing in disguise, I opened my preschool and could not be happier. I think the speaker must be upbeat and loud. LOL, hands-on activities, icebreakers. Cool. Pony says engagement, increases knowledge, learning, sharing ideas, something that's really hands-on. Rich content that is specifically is very specific, yeah. Deepen and broaden knowledge and skills, Vicky says. And Claudia says, specifically chosen to deepen and broaden the knowledge and skills of teachers, principals, and administrators. Wow. Amen, everybody. Yeah, absolutely. I think these are all really great answers, specifically, immediately, like very practical. Because if something isn't practical, then it's like, well, I don't have time for this. And I don't know anybody in early childhood education that has time to watch, it's like a documentary on something very, very obscure that isn't going to necessarily help them. We need things that are going to be practical and increase quality of care. Practical, evidence-based, increased quality of care. That's what we're about at Bertelsen Education. So we define quality PD, and I should have reorganized this to be like pie, like as easy as pie, PIE, but I'll do that for my next presentation. But thank you, Mariah. So we believe professional development should be practical, engaging, and inclusive. And I'm going to show you a little bit about our platform, but think of these things: practical, engaging, and inclusive. Oh, going backwards. Hold on. Okay. And that's where we are at Bertelsen Education. We support families and childcare providers through continuing education. So how we are practical. So in each of our courses, we have these different learning activities. We have policies like and this is a potty training policy worksheet. This is an actual activity from our potty training course. And all our courses are self-paced and online. We also have webinars and group-paced courses. But in this specific course, you work through what your potty training policy or your potty training plan is. If you don't know what it is, your responsibility is to go and either develop one or find it in your employee handbook. That way, at the end of the day, you can say, I know what my potty training policy is, and you can be able to better support the families that you care for. Also, we have lesson plans, best practices, and reflections and also quizzes in our courses. Yeah, absolutely. Share ideas is a great point. So this is a quick question, and then we'll move on. But what topics are relevant to you, and what do you wish your staff received training on? So everybody put in the chat, think about that and put it in the chat. What do you wish your staff received training on? Chiffon, great. Where are you coming from, Chiffon? Excellent. We were just there. That's actually where I met Cindy in Washington, D.C. It's a wonderful place, I think. So Chiffon says quality customer service. Okay, here they come. Positive discipline and behavior, Ann says. Leadership management. Leadership and management, Nikki said, or Vicky says. Positive reinforcement. Parent orientation, Tina says. Okay, Cindy hops in. She says, from my experience, I would like to see more training for lead teachers who play the role of coach and mentor. Interesting. Positive customer feedback, early detention on behavior disorders, or yeah, okay. Social emotional learning, leadership with children. Chiffon says childcare is a business engaging stakeholders effectively. Okay, yeah, absolutely. And Chiffon says managing challenging behaviors. These are all super, everybody. And one thing that I've seen since the pandemic, there's been a lot of challenging behaviors that have come that weren't necessarily there pre-pandemic. Or I mean, they were there, but they weren't as prevalent. But the pandemic is really kind of adjusted or damaged. I don't know how to say that effectively, but has influenced the kids and created a lot of negative situations or kind of put some kids back. Aquila, managing hostile or difficult parents. Yeah, these are all really important. And one thing that I see in all of these things that you want, like what courses are relevant to you, you want a very practical and engaging response. You want something that you can engage immediately. I think with the difficult parent one, Aquila, you don't have to tell me, but you could probably tell me like a few parents that you want specifically to be trained on to know how to help them. You want something that's practical, something that's really engaging. So anyway, thanks everybody. It's good to know. Okay, and the next piece is engaging. And I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the breadth of services that we offer here. So we have some really cool matching games. This is just one of the components that we have. We also have reading, videos. And anyway, we work really hard to make the professional development engaging and not just super boring where you're just reading all the time or just listening to somebody talk. but making it engaging is really important. So do you prefer webinars or self-paced courses? Do you like to take training in groups or individually? Put your responses in the chat. Anne says individually. Claudia says grupo. Barbara says both are effective. Cool. Aquila says webinars. Cool. Hannah says group training with the caveat that it is engaging. Interesting. Yeah. And with Bertelsen Education, we have the flexibility to do both, to fit the learning style that you have. And if you have your whole center that wants to take a course from us, let's say you want to say, oh, I have 10 teachers that we all want to take the communicating with families course, or we all want to take the having hard conversations course, or the emotional coaching course from Bertelsen Education. You can shoot us an email and we will respond to that email and set up a time for you to actually lead you through that course. So the individual course becomes a group-paced course. And it's something similar like this, where we have a facilitator and then we watch the video and then we talk about it and we engage and we ask questions, etc. So that's something that we do at Bertelsen Education, try to make the PD engaging. Why? To improve quality. Okay. And finally, inclusive. Yeah, Chiffon, I hear you. Both work for me. She says self-paced, I can do in my pajamas at any time at day, at any time, at any day. But collaboration in groups is different perspectives and small groups of support as well. I think you're absolutely right. And I love wearing my pajamas when I work. All our team works from home, so I don't think I'm ever going to change it. But last but not least is inclusive. So we have courses specifically on inclusivity. Those with developmental delays. This course is really popular. It's taught by a developmental delay specialist from DC, and she works with school districts, helping them recognize and to work with intervention strategies for children with developmental delays and autism. So all of our courses are created by content creators across the country, field practitioners in their respective fields. So we have a nurse practitioner from Oregon creating content for us on topics such as disease prevention in a childcare setting or car seat safety. He works in a field where they have the results of not doing this. He sees that. He sees what happens when you don't practice hand washing, you don't practice these different methods of disease prevention in your childcare facility. So his perspective gives everybody else, or is through to you, very, very practical. Like, hey, you need to do this because why? This is a best practice because why? But that is just a sliver of what we have. We have over 40 instructors creating content. So each course you take from Bertelsen Education could be from a different person. It isn't somebody that's monotone and just like, hey, this is what we're doing in early childhood education. And it's really, really practical. So does anybody have any questions or thoughts on that? Hannah, well, real quick, Hannah asked, okay, Mariah's got it, cool. Okay, Melissa says no, cool. I mean, here's just a short video of the rest.
I don't think we can hear it.
Yeah, nothing coming through on my side, Justin.
Can you hear that?
No.
Nobody can hear that? Okay, I will drop a link in the chat. That is so embarrassing, everybody. I wish everybody could hear it.
No, no worries.
Anyway, I should have shared it with sound. Hold on, let me try again. Share with sound. I think you'll really like it. It's a cool video. We just made it. Can anybody hear it now?
Perfect.
Okay, perfect. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much. I have a little bit of time for questions. Mariah, when are you going to cut me off?
So we can do questions for like the next 5 minutes if anyone has anything that they'd like to review specifically.
Cool, great. And just as a wrap up, and then I'll take any questions. Practical and engaging professional development is what we can do to help increase professionalism in the industry by giving them a clear pathway, mentoring, and sourcing quality PD. So anyway, that's my presentation, everybody. Thank you for listening. I'm open for questions.
Great. If you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand or chat them. We're happy to unmute you. That way you can ask Justin directly as well.
Well, if nobody has any questions, I have a few things I'd like to say.
Wait.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for interacting, you know, with Justin. I know when I present, I love to interact with the audience. And so I can really relate to Justin's presentation style and the reason for it. And it can be more difficult when you're not in person. But you all did a great job of sharing some of your thoughts, and that always helps, you know, individuals like Justin take them back to his developers and maybe come up with some things that they haven't thought of that you have. The other thing I always leave, you know, any type of webinar or training with at least one thought that I know I'm not going to forget. And one of them was the discussion on mentorship, which is a huge part of professional development because it actually helps initiate professional development. In my eyes, one of the quotes that I can relate to both as a mentor and as someone who was mentored is from Simon Sinek. And it's mentorship in all its form is as much about effective leadership as it is about effective collaboration for mutual benefits. That was the wrong quote. Sorry, it is a quote I like, but it's not Simon Sinek's. It's a mentor is not someone who walks ahead of us to show us how they did it. A mentor walks alongside us to show us what we can do. And so you know, initiate and encourage and persist in getting people involved in training and not just coming to monthly staff meetings. That is not enough to make people feel like professionals. It really isn't. And to be recognized as professionals by the greater society. So organizations and companies like Bertelsen, you know, is offering an opportunity for people no matter where they live. Absolutely, rural America, they can reach everybody. And I think that's the beauty of virtual training, even though most of us still like, you know, the in-person. And then two, if you are that director or you're that leader of some sort, you know, if you don't take what they're learning and help them as a mentor learn how to utilize and execute to it, that's a huge step. And it's one of the reasons why I encourage some training, Justin, on for lead teachers, because lead teachers are mentoring and coaching teacher assistants. And that's our future as well. So God bless everybody. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And I know we'll be making a connection again next month.
Absolutely. Justin, I know we did have one question in the chat from Claudia. If you could address that. It said, do you have 3 more class special needs or businesses? I'm not really sure if I'm reading that correctly.
Yeah, so Claudia, we do have courses on special needs. We have coming soon a special needs sleep course. Feel free to check out our website, Bertelsen Education. .com. Yep, Storm just dropped it in the link, or dropped the link in the chat. But we also have some courses in Spanish if you serve Spanish-speaking providers, or if you have some Spanish-speaking providers on your team. We have them some in Spanish, but we also have the capability of doing webinars in Spanish. But anyway, this has been really great. I will drop Nebraska or NACCE conference. I won't be at NACCE. I might be at the National Head Start Association conference. But I will drop my email in the chat, so you can email me directly if you want to talk about getting some of your staff on our training. I have to make sure that I spell my name right. Okay. Just because there's three E's in it. But feel free to email me directly with any additional questions you have. But adding to what Cindy said, this has been wonderful. I appreciate everybody's time, and continue to do the good work, everybody.
Thank you so much, Justin. We really appreciate your time today and for coming on and sharing your knowledge with everyone, and for everyone who joined us today. Thank you so much for your participation. It really makes or breaks these sessions. So thank you for being engaged and intentional with your comments and responses. It's really, really appreciated. So as I mentioned, or if you've seen in any of the advertisements for today's session, we are doing a raffle for a $25 either Visa or Amazon gift card. So anyone who is here right after we log off, please fill out the survey that will pop up, and we will be randomly selecting one lucky person, and we will contact you via the email that you provided in the survey. That survey also has questions about whether or not if you'd like more information on Bertelsen Education. And we will send that information over to Justin, so you all can get in touch and, keep doing the good work that you're doing, becoming professionals or continuing the professional work that you're doing in childcare. So we appreciate you. Thank you so much, and look out for that information in email shortly.
Great. Sounds good. Thank you, everybody. Talk to you later.
See you later. Bye.